topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Morning, Florida. Welcome to a rainy on the southeast side of Florida. We have had so much rain here, which is apropos for the expert, our new expert that we have coming on. You know, a lot of people wonder if we read your emails, and I'm going to tell you, I read every single one myself. And that is literally hundreds of emails that come in each month. And one of the things you have been asking for is a public adjuster show. But folks, we had no room. We had literally no room in our Florida market until recently. And when we had an opening, I knew with all of our homeowners, our condo owners, business owners, that I had to do a public insurance adjuster. Now, we have a show in California that is huge, but here's Florida, one of the biggest areas for rain, one of the biggest areas for hurricanes. It is such an important area to have a public adjuster. Well, we found the top public adjuster. The name of the company is called Exclusive PIA, Public Adjusting Firm. And I got to tell you, you are going to love our expert. She is such a sweetheart. Let me introduce you to Joy Alcon, our new public adjuster. Good morning, Joy.
Good morning. How are you, Steve?
I have been so excited about this show. And, you know, the timing couldn't be better. We're getting all this rain and we're almost at hurricane season now here in Florida.
Yes.
So we are so welcome. So glad to have you, Joy.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us about your background and your company.
Well, my background, actually, if we go back, I was born and raised in New Jersey. I moved out here to Florida. I never did anything in the insurance industry before. However, I was involved in the properties as a realtor some years back. Being here in Florida, I quickly learned about how much the insurance affects homeowners and all of that. Like, I never even knew that this field existed until Hurricane Irma, my first hurricane in Florida, happened. And basically that changed everything for me. And I was able to see the perspective. And I was working at a law office that actually had a department for property insurance, which it was kind of starting up. So I learned it from a legal side. And I really loved it. Being at the desk as working insurance claims, it was great, but I knew that I wanted to be out in the field. I knew that I wanted to see and inspect myself and get my hands dirty when it comes to that.
Well, you know, Joy, I'm going to tell people every claim is different. There's never two claims that are the same. And I want to share this with people, especially for your first show. I had a claim about 20 years ago, and the insurance company offered me $25,000. I'm a layman. I have no idea what anything is worth. And I really actually thought that I had no choice but to accept it. A friend of mine said, "Are you using a public insurance adjuster?" And of course, I said, "What the hell is a public insurance adjuster? I don't need any more insurance people. I've had it with them." He said, "I'm telling you, they can help you." Now, I'm going to make a long story short. So they offered me $30,000. The public insurance adjuster I hired, this is 20 years ago, got me $135,000. Now, every claim is different. Okay. I'm not saying you can do that for everybody, but look at the difference it made by having a public adjuster represent me against this big giant. And look what they did, Joy.
I know, and I actually have cases very similar to yours. And it's funny because the first time that we actually spoke, you mentioned this story to me, and it
Yes.
stayed here. So I was thinking about it for our interview here today. But if you look at the statistics about the difference and the increase that you can get by having a public adjuster, it's in the hundreds percent. Like when you look it up, it basically says 500% or more. And that just sounds insane. Like what even is that figure? But it is an absolute fact. I've represented, I'll give you an example of a fire claim. That the coverage on the policy, the maximum coverage for the dwelling was $440,000. The insurance company came in as an undisputed, meaning at the beginning, their first offer, $117,000. There was a lot more damage in the property. We had to prove that the property basically was in a condition that needed to be gutted on the inside, all floors. And basically our office was able to achieve 400,000 out of instead of the 117, 400,000. And that's just on dwelling. We still got another 165,000 for their personal property. And we were able to get them a good 36,000 or so for additional living expenses. There's a lot of different aspects that a public adjuster handles and helps and understands. I would say that one of the biggest key things that makes our field so necessary is the fact that the public is not educated. That's why we're public adjusters. Now, an insurance claim is basically an investigation, and people don't know when they're calling in a claim that there's a number of steps and procedures that the insurance company follows. You just think that you just open your door, the insurance company comes, they snap some photos and they leave. And that essentially is what you see. But behind the scenes, you are in an investigation. And if you have claims in the past, that could affect you. That doesn't mean that if you have a claim in the past that you should not file a claim. But you have to understand that every single claim that you file, that actually, if you received a payment, there's an estimate that comes along with that. That already might sound like overwhelming and confusing, but a lot of homeowners don't ever even see the estimate or know what an estimate is. And that is super, super important, because let's say that you had a loss this year for a roof damage, right? And say that the following year, a hurricane comes and you didn't repair some of the things that are noted on that estimate. You have a big problem on your hands, because the insurance company may say, "I'm sorry, but I can't pay you because I paid you for that on the last estimate."
Oh my gosh.
And what has happened, I actually have a number of clients, unfortunately, that had situations where that was the case. And years prior to them ever hiring me, they had claims for hurricanes like Ian or Irma. And I had this one that unfortunately the insurance company said, no, we already paid for that roof in such and such, claim, and you didn't repair it. And the homeowner said to me, how am I supposed to repair it? All they gave me was $10,000. Unfortunately, back then, was the time that they needed to come and say something and bring it to the insurance company's attention that this is not enough. If you're a homeowner and you have a claim and you just stay with your arms crossed when they say no, well, then that's all there is. But if you don't look into why they're not paying you more, or what it is that you have to do to prove to them, or what is missing, that is what a public adjuster does. Is someone that in confidence you could talk to about the situation, because a lot of people are scared that they're going to, give too much information or say something that's going to put them in, a negative light or, and a lot of people get scared for things unnecessarily, but it's understandable when you really look at it. You know what is something that happened once? I had a situation where I walked into a house of somebody that I kept on saying, hey, he was an investor. Hey, if you need me for anything, I'm available for free inspections. I'll check out all your properties. So finally, he calls me to his home for a roof leak that happened on a hurricane. And when I walked in the door, I looked up and I see a black ceiling. And I said, oh my God, what happened? So he told me, oh, that's because I had a fire in the bathroom. One of my towels caught fire from a candle. And I was like, haven't I been telling you to call me if you have any issues? Right. I didn't know I could file that, he said. I thought I had to burn my house down or that I would be in trouble with the insurance. And, it's just misconceptions. A lot of people don't know. But we're the people that can come and check out the situation, provide free advice. It's super important to know what you're getting into beforehand.
Joy, our texts right now are going off the wall. A lot of people are thanking us for bringing a show like this, which I knew that would happen. Folks, I want you to understand that a public adjuster makes this so easy because you work on a contingency basis, right?
Yeah. You have to understand that when we say contingency basis and when we say we don't get paid unless you get paid,
right?
The amount of stuff that we do for free sometimes. Because when we go to your property and we sign a claim, we have no idea if we'll ever see a dollar, right. And unfortunately, a lot of times our governing bodies seem to kind of paint us in this light, like, or even sometimes homeowners, maybe. And yes, there's a lot of people out there that haven't had the best experience with public adjusters, unfortunately, but that doesn't take away the fact that we come out, we inspect the property, we go there, we review your policy. We try to make sure ahead of time that you have everything set in place, or that the situation is going to be able to be presented in a way that proves your position to the insurance. We have to, we have to come up with strategies and ideas on how we can get the attention of the insurance company if they're not answering us, or because we deal with the same stresses that the homeowner deals with. The difference, though, is that we know what the policy says. We know what parts we can push the most. We know things that the homeowner doesn't know. So, we work a claim from start to finish. And a lot of these claims that we take on are claims that already have been filed. And we have no idea what was said. We have no idea if you told the insurance company something that maybe you shouldn't have, not because you're trying to lie to them or whatever, but because, sometimes things are taken out of perspective, or the way that it's said comes off wrong. A very typical thing that is done is if you have a pipe burst in the house or there's water leaking everywhere, that doesn't constitute a flood. But if you have water all over your home, a homeowner will call and say, hey, I have a flood in my home. Believe it or not, I had State Farm not even go out to a property once because the homeowner had filed the claim, said, I have a flood, and it wasn't a flood, it was a pipe burst. They said, well, that's just not covered. And they didn't even come. You have to push, and you have to have somebody that can at least give you some sort of understanding and guidance here.
Yes. In my case, just to show you the small things that you look for, it turned out the insurance company, because I had a flood, they were just going to replace the tiles that I lost. But in reality, they didn't even make those tiles anymore. And the
Mhm.
whole kitchen area had to be replaced. But they were trying to get away with just replacing some of the tiles. And
Yeah.
but Joy, it's not just flooding. Tell people there's so many different areas that you cover for homeowners and businesses.
Absolutely. You know what is a super scary and crazy loss? Lightning. Lightning
Wow.
striking a home can literally blow up your plumbing from the inside, can destroy all of your electrical. And sometimes what you will see as an indicator of the damage on the outside is something so small. I've seen a lightning strike a house where the damage on the roof was no bigger than like an inch. It looked like a slice of a knife on the actual shingle roof. Yet inside the attic, the lightning bolt had caused a fire inside the attic, and a pipe burst in there, and that put out the fire. It's insane. But yes, there's lightning strikes. There's water damage from pipe bursts, AC leaks. There's leaks, of course, from the roof. There's wind damage. There's hail damage. There's vandalism, even.
Yes.
There's a lot of different areas that are covered by insurance. But another very, very important and free service that we do, but I can only imagine how boring it sounds, so most people don't ask
I
us
don't
for it,
think so. If you're a
is a
homeowner,
free policy review. Most people don't want to even read their policy. Why in the
right.
world would I want you to read me my policy? And I get that. But you have no idea how many people we save that actually want their policy reviewed, or that we say, hey, let me take a quick look at your policy. And then they look at the policy with us, and sometimes just a quick look, and it's like, are you aware that you have a $20,000 deductible? And they'll jump back and they'll say, what do you mean? Yeah, if you have a hurricane on your property, this shingle roof is essentially not going to be paid. So you might want to go back and change this. Or sometimes I see homeowners that have zero for personal property coverage. Can you imagine if you have a small fire in your house, or even worse, a real large fire in your house? There's absolutely no way to get everything in your property covered. So yes, great, you'll have coverage for the dwelling, but you will lose every single piece of property in your house if it's a total loss.
Mark and Ocala, I am so glad there's finally a show like this. I have got so many questions. I'm going to just start off with one. I'm a little nervous. If I hire a public adjuster, will the insurance company drop me?
Well, the real answer to that question is that nobody knows. and I try to make sure that the homeowner knows that going in. But if you read your insurance policy, it also tells you that you've got to file claims for damages, and within a timely manner. So even if you yourself do it, whether it's with a public adjuster, without a public adjuster, it can depend on a number of things. And oftentimes insurance companies in general will leave an area, or sometimes insurance companies are making certain switches and you will get dropped. It's not always just because you filed a claim that they will drop you. Another thing that I've noted through my experience is that sometimes if you file multiple claims, maybe in the same year or on the same policy for like water damage or something like that, these things sometimes are red flags, I think, for the insurance company. But it does not mean that every single time if you file a claim, they're just going to drop you. I've had clients that have had fires. How are you not going to claim a fire? But
Right.
Still, they ended up getting dropped. And sometimes it could be that they filed a claim because they just recently received that policy, or they just became a homeowner. it's not that you can't file a claim that's, a brand new policy, because obviously these losses are sudden and accidental. As soon as you have an insurance policy, if something sudden and accidental happens, you can pick up the phone and you can file a claim. But if you want to avoid filing claims that you don't know if they're going to have any founding, if they're going to be even a claim that is a logical claim or that you actually have coverage for, call us for a free inspection, for a policy review. We could read a policy at any time. We go to properties. Some people don't want to waste our time. It's not a waste of time if we go and we give you an idea and a perspective. And if we can't help you now on this loss, you don't have to have a damage for us to help you, because we're educating you now for the future through what your policy does, what it covers, and also what you might be getting into if you file that claim. I've gone to properties and to assess damages where the homeowner has said, you know what, I think maybe I'm just going to go ahead and fix this because I see what you're saying. Maybe it's not that large of a loss. And that's always going to be your choice. We'll never obligate you to file a claim. You are always going to tell you what we found. We're always going to show you the damages and let you know if we feel that it's strong, if there's coverage for it in your insurance policy. That's what we do. We guide you. We hold your hand through situations like that, and we assist you through the entire claim process from start to finish.
God, these texts are coming in like crazy. This is from Michael in Boynton Beach. What a great show. I listen to all kinds of podcasts. I am a condo owner, and I'm always nervous about flooding. My question is, and I cannot believe I'm actually writing in. I've never done this. I've never listened to a podcast for this length of time, but you've got such an interesting guest.
Wow. Thank you.
What happens if I'm on the second floor and there's flooding on the first floor? Do you ever see where it does any kind of, can't read the word, mold? Do policies cover mold?
Yes, policies cover mold, but this is another one of these examples. If you pick up the phone and you call your insurance company and you say, hi, I want to file a claim because I have mold. Sorry to tell you, that's going to be a straight denial, because the cause of loss is what you need to know that it's definitely not going to be mold. It's going to be some sort of opening where water is coming in, or some sort of disbursement of water throughout. It could be a pipe burst in the wall, but the only way that you're going to get mold that is covered, because of course you could have, let's say, a bathroom that maybe isn't ventilated right. That type of mold, that's not covered. But let's say that you're having mold because there's a roof leak above a bathroom, that, there's a drip coming down from the attic, et cetera, and over time it's molding the wall, et cetera. That is a covered loss. But now that goes to show you how it's not that you said something wrong or that was a lie or anything like that, but it's just not presented adequately. And you have to understand where it's coming from. So, for example, if you also have a certain leak, some people have leaks that happen, for example, in the flooring, where sometimes there's a slab leak, okay? And it's something that's very hard and you may not even see it, but you might get notifications from your city that you have, from the water company, that the meter is running and that there's some sort of an issue. That is a headache of a claim, let me tell you, for us and for homeowners, because the damages in some of these cases, they're not even visible. But sometimes there's mold and there's certain things that come from that. And so it's something that you have to know what the cause is beforehand. So you need a leak detection ahead of time, or you need a plumber, even with a public adjuster, because somebody that's licensed or certified or that is in that specialty needs to pinpoint and locate where that is coming from, so that the insurance company can know if it is a covered loss or not. And if you don't do that, the insurance company is going to send you out somebody that does do a leak detection or is an engineer, and you're basically at the mercy of whatever the insurance company's people said that you had happen to your house. So you want to come in with your own plumber's estimate or invoice or whatever the case may be that says there is a leak here, et cetera. So these are very important factors before filing a claim. I can't stress the need that a homeowner should definitely look into having a public adjuster before filing a claim. Not because we want to discourage you or we want to do anything. Unfortunately, there's a lot of mistrust in this world right now, but it's because we want to help you. We want to help you so that your claim can be covered.
Joy, I told you the show goes by fast. Tell people how they can reach you.
Well, we have a 1-800 number, and my 1-800 number for our company is not a robot that answers, except for a please hold. But I have staff, and anybody that calls us, you could always ask for me with my staff, but our number is 800-593-9853. And I know that it's coming across the screen. It's an 800 number because, hey, we're looking to be in as many states as possible. And I know a lot of people freak out when they see 1-800 numbers, but, we are definitely a passionate team of adjusters that is looking to do everything that we can to make the experience of somebody going through sometimes a catastrophe and a total loss of their home so that it can be something that they have the help and the guidance that they need. And we want everybody that is our client to have a good, positive experience.
Good news is, for all these people who are writing in, Joy's going to be back with us next month. We're going to be doing a show every month now with Joy. Joy, awesome. Thank you so much. Great job, especially for your first show. And we'll see you next month.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
I'm so
Joy.
excited.
That's exclusive PIA, public adjuster firm. They're out of Miami. If you've got a claim in Florida, business or residential, give them a call. Again, it's 800-893-9853. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.